Well, hey folks, it's your old pal, King Waspinator. Welcome back to Total Party Skills. Do you remember the movie 10,000 BC? Did you see it? And when watching it, did you feel like I did, where you were like, man, this is a real piece of shit movie, but it would make a compelling role-playing game setting? Well, I'm here to recommend a little something by Osprey Games called Paleomythic. It's a very minimalist rule system. Um, they have a bunch of random charts you can use, but it's basically you just go through and make some decisions, and your character's done. It only uses dice. It does this thing where basically, like, you have a dice pool generated by the number of relevant traits you have, and minus any flaws. And if you have a tool that's appropriate, you can add an extra dice for that. And every die you roll, if one of them comes up a 6, it's considered a success. In some ways, I kind of feel like increasing the dice pool as your character advances doesn't necessarily really curve your success rate too much higher than it was even at the beginning. But having not played it, it's hard to really say for sure how that works. It probably reminds me the most rules-wise of all things of the old live-action Mind's Eye Theater rules that World of Darkness games had back in the 90s. In terms of, instead of like a set number of attributes, you choose a bunch of traits and potentially a couple of flaws, and you just get one die in your die pool per applicable trait. And they run the gamut of various kind of physical or mental or charismatic type of descriptors. So it's almost like a choose your own attribute system. You also can have one or more talents. Talents in this is kind of their answer to character classes, and some of them are rather interesting. It's all very caveman themed. The setting itself is, the fictionalized lost continent of Mu, tens of thousands of years ago. You have this interesting collage of, the ancestors of modern human races mixed with, like lost peoples, who maybe didn't survive whatever calamitous event eventually takes Mu out of the picture. There's like relics of some older civilization that had, stone buildings and stuff. They're here and there, but they're long dead. Characters are all very, like, as intelligent as modern humans, but, in that no infrastructure, everyone's living in little clans of, like, 4 to 12 people tops, using stone tools kind of society. They bill it as swords and sorcery. I mean, not swords and sorcery. They bill it as stone and sorcery. And I can totally see how that style of, like classic Conan, Fire and Ice, Frank Frazetta, type paintings brought to life kind of style could be applied to this setting. Even if you don't like the rules, the setting itself could easily be translated to a couple other different game systems. Savage Worlds, GURPS, even with some tinkering, an OSR, or, even like one of the older editions of, actual AD&D, or, you can just give the rules themselves as they are a shot. Of the various games I've checked out over the last few months, it's one of the ones that's like higher on the list of things I might eventually would like to actually try experimenting with playing, just because the rule system is just very different from the kind of systems I'm used to using. Like I said, it reminds me most of Mind's Eye Theater live action rules for vampire and werewolf and stuff from back in the day, and that's an interesting take. The book itself is nice, great artwork. It's very thorough. Like I said, it gives tons of like random tables to be able to randomly roll up characters, randomly roll up tribes and villages and shit. Bunch of interesting, like primitive society type gods. It's a good book. I highly recommend you check it out. So hit like and subscribe, and be sure to stay waspinated.